Hey everybody, welcome to episode 32. How the heck are you? I'm doing good. We had some ups and downs this week, as you do, but I'm feeling pretty good. I listened to a talk from a guy who I'll tell you more about, I think, a different time. But while I was watching this talk, he said, you have these moments where everything's perfect, even if it's not. And that really resonated with me. And I've been trying to sort of tune into that and try to find more of those moments. Because every day things go wrong, right? But every day I also fall asleep next to my wife or get to spend some good time with my son. Showing him some music or playing a game with him or something like that. And in those moments, even if the car is broken and the dog is dead and the computer won't turn on, I feel something good. And now that I realize that, I'm toying around with the possibility that that's always there, and I just have to sift through some things to find it. And it helped me with some problem. Like some of the examples I just gave, like my computer just died. It's dead. And everything's fine. But in that moment of frustration, to sort of stay calm, I was singing a song to myself. I was singing just kind of quietly under my breath. And Ollie said, "What are you singing? I like that." And I said, "Oh, it's Harlem River Blues by Justin Townes Earl." And he said, "Can I hear it?" And I said, "Yeah." And I stopped working on my computer and I stopped being stressed out and I pulled the record off the shelf and did a little self-5 for having records. And yeah, the computer can be broken and we'll still listen to music. And I put the record on and we listened to it and we talked about it and he had some great things to say about it. And in that moment, everything was perfect. And I am starting to feel a suspicion that those moments are available to us all the time. So, moving right along. We had some questions this week. I love questions. When I played house shows, back when I used to play shows, there would always be like a dialogue that would develop because at the beginning of the show, it was maybe awkward for some people. And you never really know how to behave. For some people, when they come see me at a house show, they've never been to a house show before. And they've also never seen someone who looks like me play the kind of music I play, or they've never seen someone who plays the kind of music I play also tell jokes and try to be lighthearted or try to be philosophical or, try to make it a little bit more than just like, here's my songs about my feelings. But as the show goes on and everyone kind of sinks into it a little bit, they realize like, I'm right there and we can talk. And they'll ask questions. They'll say, hey, what was that song about? Or they'll say, what do you think about this thing I heard today? Or even little like, do you have a favorite tattoo? Do you have what kind of music are you listening to nowadays? That kind of thing. And I love that part of the show. So if you guys ever have questions or stuff you want to talk about or comment on, send them on over. You can email me at christopher@christophergold.com. But Jason asked, my friend Jason, who just started a new coffee venture, go on Facebook and search Patzer Coffee, Patzer Coffee. And he's just, he loves coffee and he's talking about it. And it's awesome. I love when people talk about what they like. And, there's a lot to coffee if you dig into it and you have a guide who knows things. He asked what kind of coffee I drink, and I will tell you. In the mornings, I drink this. Just Coffee Co-op Bike Fuel. Rich, smooth, and chocolatey. I like it. I drink it black a variety of ways. We have a standard coffee maker. We have the pour over thing. I have a cold brew thing, and I have a French press. So any number of ways. And then in the afternoons, I switch over to Door County Coffee and Tea Company breakfast blend. perfect blend of Colombian and Costa Rican beans. Smooth-bodied and mellow. That's my jam. The reason I have to switch to decaf is because I drink 6 or 7 cups of coffee a day, every day, sometimes more if the opportunity presents itself. And I'm getting to that age where like I wasn't sleeping very good. And I've never slept good, and I don't sleep very good now. It's why I look like a badger. But is it badger or raccoon or both? See, that's embarrassing. I think it's both. I got circles under my eyes. Maybe if I were well rested, I would know my animal kingdom better, but I don't. So I made the switch to decaf afternoons and evenings, and and maybe sleeping a little bit better. But yeah, I drink a lot of coffee. I'm not picky about it though. I'll drink whatever's going, and I like diner coffee and gas station coffee, and like I said, pour overs, French presses, machines, whatever. Give me a cup of coffee. And I just drink it black, which is great because there's always coffee for me somewhere. I find that if you have all these rules about how you take your coffee or what you'll eat or whatever, I'm going to sound real dumb here, that there's not always that available to you. And often you're very unsatisfied. I know a lot of people that are really kind of la-di-da about things, instruments or food or coffee or whatever. And the result is just that they're always bitching. They're never pleased with what they got or what they have or what's available. And meanwhile, I'm going like, yeah, gas station coffee, Wendy's cheeseburger, whatever's going. I like good stuff. I love a good, really nice cup of coffee, but I don't need it to be happy. And it's funny to me how often like people will be looking down on you while you drink your gas station coffee or your diner eggs or whatever, and they're kind of looking down on you, but they're unhappy and you're not. And there's probably a deeper lesson in there about expectation and desire and freeing yourself from all that stuff. But I'm not going to get into it because I'm an idiot. I'm just going to drink my cup of coffee here. Susan asked if we were going to have mugs available for purchase, and I think we will soon. I really, if I'm being honest, I just struggle with the idea of selling things and trying to make money, and I don't say that as a virtue. I don't go like I'm kind of above money. I'm saying it as almost a problem. Like I need money, and all the things that I do to make money I would do for free, but I need to make money. And I have a hard time sort of communicating that to people, and I have a hard time kind of promoting myself and that kind of thing. So after the book came out, and I promoted the book, I needed a little cool down period from commerce and promoting myself. So we'll have mugs, I think. I like the idea that if people want one of these mugs, they can get one. So probably soon. And then my friend Chuck asked if I would ever devote a whole episode to a record or an artist. And I think that'd be a lot of fun. The problem is, like, some people watch this just for the musical part, and some people watch it just for the beginning part, the weird, rambly, agnostic sermon, or whatever you want to call it. And I don't want to lean too heavily in either direction and bore people. But I have thought it'd be fun, if this is called Hey Everybody, we could do a second series called Listen Up Everybody, that's just about music and reviews and that kind of thing. Not reviews, I don't ever review things, I just recommend them. I only talk about music that I like publicly. I rant about stuff I hate all the time at home. So yeah, we had a good weekend. We got to take a drive because we had to deliver some merch to a gentleman named Scott who watches the podcast and wanted to buy the book, and was very appreciative of that. And it got us out of the house for a bit into the sun. It's freezing cold outside, but we got into the sun, and that was great. We also had to bring our son to the eye doctor last week, which was kind of out by the mall. And there's nothing quite like a trip out to the mall to make you realize that I don't want things to go back to normal. Normal is traffic and crowds and getting cut off by people that have bumper stickers on the back of their car advertising politicians that I go, of course you would cut me off. You're a bastard. And I don't want to feel that way or think that way. And it's the same with, it's kind of silly, but it's true. There's a lot of people going like, I can't wait for things to get back to normal. And I'm going, I've had a year away from normal to sort of reevaluate normal. And there was no shortage of things that came up that like, I could do without that. I could maybe try to fix that. I could edit that out. For example, like show offers are starting to come in, which is kind of exciting. But I also felt this kind of pit in my stomach because the problem is when you do this for a living, you kind of have to take everything. And I very often end up playing 3-hour sets in a bar, standing in the corner under a TV they didn't turn off, and no one's listening, and the people that are requesting covers that I don't know. And, and that's hard. And I don't want to sound too self-serious or whatever, but it takes a toll on me. Because the music that I make, T-Bone Burnett said music is a sacred pursuit. Art is a sacred pursuit. And I feel that way about my music. I really do. I have a hard time admitting it because it sounds pretentious. But I do feel that way. I dig down pretty deep when I put pen to paper and I'm writing stuff about, it's hard to take a song about some philosophy that you've delved into, or the love you have for your wife, or the relationship you have with your son and the unknown of being a parent and the struggle of, is this the right thing or the wrong thing? I have to pick a thing. Or the struggle of just existing and not having all the answers that you wish you had, and not even knowing if you have the right questions sometimes. And I'm standing there playing songs about all this stuff and more. And people have their backs to me, and they're spilling beers and they're getting in fights. And I'm not better than any scenario, but I think art is better than some scenarios. And I hope I'm making art. I have a hard time calling it that still, because again, it sounds pretentious. But I was telling my wife yesterday, like, as the show offers come back, there's going to be some things I don't want to do, and I'm going to feel like I need to do them to help bring in some money and that kind of thing. And in part playing, I call them soul suckers. Playing these 3-hour soul suckers where nobody's going to care, and I'm not going to sell any merch, we're not going to connect to anybody. One of the gifts of that is it frees me up. If I get paid a nice sum to play that show, I can go play 2 shows that don't pay that well but feel good, and I can offer a podcast for free and that kind of thing. So that's good, but it does kind of take a toll, and it's hard to snap back and forth between like, okay, I'm playing a house show for 20 people that care about this as much as I do, and it's important. And then tomorrow I'm playing a farmer's market to people that are literally not going to stop as they move past me. They might get a verse, and it makes me really thankful for those great shows where connection happens. And it's not about glory. It's not like I'm only thankful for the theater shows. I'm thankful for 10 people in a kitchen if they care. I'm thankful for 5 people if there's a connection there. And it's tricky. And I've been thinking more and more about how I want to move forward, and thinking more and more about this concept of an integrated life. I'm obsessed with this idea of like, I don't want my life to be compartmentalized at all. I want my work to be the thing I'm passionate about. I want my wife and son to be there. I want, money to come in as I need it, but I don't want to think about the money when I'm making the thing. I have this fantasy that when people say, what do you do for a living? I'll someday be able to say, oh, I'm Christopher Gold. And that means a million things. It means I do a podcast and I write songs and And lately I've been writing poetry that I might release someday. And you know, I've officiated 5 weddings just when it felt right to do. And I've had articles published in the newspaper and just all this. I just want to be who I am and do the things that I do, and hope that it works out. Which, when you say it out loud, sounds kind of crazy, but kind of exhilarating too. Like, maybe it could though. You know what I mean? Like you know when you're a kid, and I mean like a kid, like 12, 13, and you see someone and you feel a fluttering, and some part of you that's already old knows like, she ain't gonna go for it. But some part of you goes like, ask her anyway. And you just feel all excited and you know, and then she breaks your heart and you wish you were dead. But I feel like as we get older, life is not set up to give us that feeling of like, just do it anyways. See what happens. Just run, just jump, just go. And I'm trying to do more of that. And part of that is just telling people what I want. Part of that is just sort of summoning the courage to go like, yeah, I mean, it's even kind of embarrassing to say, but like, yeah, I'm almost 40. I've never been on a record label. I've never been on a major tour with so-and-so. I've never had a manager or a booking agent. But I want to write songs for a living. And I want to play shows for people. And I was flirting with that a few years ago. I won't say who it was, but there was this musician who I really like and admire. And we had played together a few times and we became friendly. I wouldn't say friends, but like friendly. We got along pretty well. And after one of the shows, he came up to me and he said, "Man, that was great. It's always such a treat playing with you. It was awesome." And I said, "Thanks, man. I really appreciate it." And he said, "How are things going?" And I thought, just go for it. And I said, "Well, I'm trying to get on the road more, but it's really hard to get on the road because I don't tour with a band, and all these venues want a full band, and I don't know where to play, and no one's knocking down my door to take me out on tour as an opener. I don't know what to do. If you have any advice, I would love your advice." And he goes, "Hey, reach out to my booking agent and tell him I sent you." And I went, "Oh, there it is. That's what I was hoping for. That's what I was going for. It's all happening." So I get home, and the next day I emailed this guy's booking agent and I said, "Hey, my name is Christopher Gold, and so told me to reach out to you and said we could possibly work together and it would be a good fit. And my music is similar to this guy you work with. And like I said, he told me to reach out to you to see if we could maybe work together." Very excited, thinking this is all but a sure thing. This guy is vouching for me. This guy, arguably this booking agent's biggest client or one of his bigger clients, is saying, "Hey, booking agent, work with Christopher Gold. It's all happening, baby." So I wait a couple days and I get an email back from this guy. And he says, and at the time, oh, it hurts so bad, but it was even funny then. You know when something hurts so bad that it's funny? You know when you're like, wow, that couldn't have possibly gone any worse than it did. He said, "We have a reputation for only working with like the best musicians, and as such, we will not be able to work with you." And even that's like, holy shit. Like that's, oh my goodness gracious, like that's a cold splash of water right there. Whew. And then later I was playing a show with this other guy who I really like, and we were talking about the industry and how it works, and I told him that story because you know, it's sad, but it's funny. I told him that story and we chuckled, and he goes, "But you see, that's the problem with the industry. Like, you know, here this guy believes in you and he tells you to reach out, but the booking agent isn't listening to the guy. And that's what's wrong with the industry, is that people are getting after stuff that they really care about and like." And I said, yeah, man, I hear you. And then I opened for this guy. It went great. He's like, oh, that was awesome. It was great. I hope to play with you again someday. And haven't heard from him since. So I'm just sort of, I'm trying to lean into like, maybe you're not alone in the industry. Maybe you're not unconnected in the industry. Maybe you're free. I remember there was an organization here in town that I had worked with a couple times. Like, they needed a musician to help raise awareness of the whatever. And I have to be vague here. And one of the dudes in charge asked me for a cup of coffee, and I went to have coffee with him because I like coffee. And he said, hey man, do you want to like join our organization and be like on the board or whatever? And I said, no. I said, I don't want to be on a board. I don't want to go to meetings. I believe in this organization and I would like to work with them, but I don't want to. Blah. And he said, okay. And then like a week later, he went down for some really heinous stuff that he was victimizing women and that kind of thing. And I was so glad to not be like deeply professionally connected to a dirtbag. You know what I mean? More often than not, I feel free rather than isolated and alone, you know? So I'm trying to lean into that like maybe because you're free, you can just do whatever you want. And maybe, you know, maybe at some point the podcast will start generating a fair amount of money and you can stop playing soul suckers, and then the music will get better and the podcast will get better and everything will get really, really good. And it is really good. So it's cool. Should we do a song? Let's do a song. This song is called Maybe Asheville. And it's a little bit about a place in Wyoming where I did a big chunk of my childhood. I moved around a lot as a kid, like 8 different states and countless houses and cities in each state. But my first memories are in Wyoming, very small town in Wyoming. And I liked it there. I don't know if I would like it now. I haven't been back as an adult, but I liked it there. And then the other place mentioned in the song is obviously Asheville, North Carolina, where I have never ever been. And the idea for this song came from the idea that it would be good to have in your mind a place you've never been to that you could escape to. And it's important, I think, that you've never been there, because when you go to a place, you realize it's not perfect, because no place is perfect. You realize, they got traffic here. They got long lines for stuff here. That guy in my town that gets all the opportunities I should get, they got a different version of that guy here. But I've always been the kind of person that likes having a place in mind that, like, if it all goes south, you know, we pack up the guitars, we get in the car, and we just move to wherever. And for me, currently, that place is Asheville. And I've never been there, and maybe someday I will. Maybe the mayor will hear this song and want to use it as like his town's theme or whatever. And in return, I'll get to play one of their lovely coffee shops and make $5. That'd be pretty good. So here's this song. It's called Maybe Asheville, and like so many of my other ones, it goes like this. I'm gonna leave all that dust behind in my Wyoming home. I'm gonna head to Carolina. I'm gonna dry out these bones, where heartbreak will never find us. We'll never feel alone. And I can look on you with clearer eyes in that Carolina sun. 'Cause maybe Asheville is really heaven. Well, I know I've never been there, but I still believe it. And if Carolina someday falls into the sea, I know Asheville, she's waiting there for me. I'm gonna leave all I lost behind in my Wyoming home. I'm gonna pay down the loans that I took out against my soul. Collect every part of this borrowed heart, then promise that it's yours. And love you under clearer skies and that Carolina sun. 'Cause maybe Asheville is really heaven. Well, I know I've never been there, but I still believe it. And if Carolina someday falls into the sea, well, I know Asheville, she's waiting there for me. Well, I know Asheville, she's waiting there for me. All right, let's do some quick, fast recommendations and get you the heck out of here. First, this is exciting. This is the quickest we've ever gone from discovery to share. This band, person, artist, goes by the name Mondo Cosmo. This record is called New Medicine. I was watching a TV show, and while the credits were playing, I heard this song, so I rewound it and used my phone to find out who sang the song, and it was Mondo Cosmo. I do that all the time. I'm desperate for new music all the time, and I'm always hearing like, oh, what's that? What are you listening to? Who's playing right now? It was Mondo Cosmo. Hopped on them internets, found this record, found it available, bought it. It came here. I listened to it a bunch. Check out Upside Down. It's great. It's hard to explain, which is cool. It's kind of rock and roll. It's kind of like Lou Reedy. It's kind of greasy and groovy and kind of sounds like Gorillaz a little bit sometimes. I've heard people say it sounds like Beck. I don't know a ton about Beck, so I can't say for sure. I just know I like it. It makes me happy. It's diverse. It can be funky and groovy and slinky and fun and kind of grimy in the best possible way. So check out Upside Down by Mondo Cosmo. Next. This band is called Manchester Orchestra. This record is called A Black Mile to the Surface. It is their most recent. I have been a very, 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 very long time Manchester Orchestra fan. Their first record, I'm Like a Virgin Losing a Child, was a favorite of mine, and I've followed them since. When I wasn't paying attention, they got really successful, which is rad. But this morning I was listening to Manchester Orchestra, not planning on recommending it today, but I just had it on because I like it, and I was feeling some feelings, and their song The Maze from this record came on, and I tell you, I almost cried. I would have cried if I weren't intentionally kind of pushing it away for reasons I don't totally understand. It would have felt good to just let it happen. The sound of that song kind of resonates with me, and it's great because the lyrics of the song do too. But it's one of these songs that, again, if you didn't speak the language, you would be moved by The Maze by Manchester Orchestra. And then finally, do y'all watch Justified? Did you watch Justified? Because this is my favorite show in the history of shows. I watch every episode of this show probably twice a year. I love it. I own all 6 seasons on DVD. This is season 1. And it's about a guy named Raylan Givens who lives in Kentucky. Hello. And he's a U.S. Marshal. And he has an arch nemesis named Boyd Crowder. played by Walton Goggins, who I think is like the real. You need both of these guys, and they play off each other so well. And it's an amazing show, and it's suspenseful and stressful, and there's action and there's gunfights, and it's hilarious. It's the best show I've ever seen in my life. It's my favorite show, and the main character is just he's a badass. He says all this amazingly quotable stuff. I think in the first episode he shows up on the scene, and one of these criminal dudes is like, "You dress like an undertaker," and he goes, "I might be undertaking something here today." And it's just so good. It's so good, and it's fun and exciting, and like I said, the important thing is very funny. I watched an interview with the two stars, and they both said that they think the secret of the show is that they view it as a comedy. And most people see it as action, which it is, but it's great. And I wish it was more popular, or had been more popular. They did 6 seasons and then it ended. But I tell you this, I adore it. If you're looking for something to binge, as the kids say, that show is great, and I love it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I enjoyed it. I'm just going to keep doing it because it feels good to do. And I hope you guys keep coming back. I hope you tell people if you like it, if you want to help. Telling people about it is huge. Telling people about the music, about the podcast is huge. And thank you so much to a few people that shared it last week and shared the instrumental record. Oh, that meant so much to me. It felt so good to come on here and tell people like, oh, I wish the podcast or the instrumental record was more popular, and then see immediately out in the world people share it, and that was amazing. So thank you guys very much. I hope you're well. I hope you're doing good. Stay safe, stay warm, and we'll see you next week. Bye.